Hi guys, Finch here down at the Quest Golf Academy, and we're going to be doing a roundup of the first round of Guerrilla golf ball testing which we've completed down here. Now what I did is I took 3 golf balls from emerging companies within the marketplace and tested them against the ProV1. Now the balls that I tested was the Vice Pro Plus ball, the Seed SD-01 golf ball and the Elixr golf ball from OnCore Golf, and it's been an interesting and eye-opening experience. If you've not seen the videos so far, here's just a very quick snippet. Oh, okay, so my new favourite ball ever. Shouldn't just trust the gump on the website. I've got to test these balls out and actually see how they perform. That just feels lovely, lovely and soft. Okay, right then, join us after we've hit the rest of them. Now each of these balls was impressive in its own right, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look and see how they compared overall, pitting them against each other and then picking my overall favourite from this first round. This marketplace is emerging. There are a lot of balls coming out and it's almost impossible to test them all at the same time, so I'm going to split them up into different compartments like this. Then at the very end, something I've not done so far within the testing is look at the price. So what I'm going to do is look at the price at the very end and see if the performance did give value for money when compared to the ProV1. So the tests that I conducted were over 50 yards, 75 yards, 100 yards, then up to 150, 200, and then with the driver. And what I've done is I've pulled up the first four balls that have been tested today, just to give you a bit of a comparison of what we've seen. So you can see here that there are differences in the ball speeds, there are differences in launch angle, even though the club data collected was very, very similar. Now what you can see here, the early leader as far as backspin in the 50-yard range here was the Seed SD-01. And I have to say this was one of the softest feeling, it was also one of the most solid feeling balls that was tested within this test. Now the launch angle was high, it was the second highest and it only was outdone by the Elixr as well. Carry distance 51 and then total distance 55 for the Seed. Now overall, just looking at that, considering what has happened with the backspin, the SD-01 was probably coming out on top. Probably one of the nicest feeling golf balls was the Elixr, but I have to say the ProV1 and the Vice did feel really, really good as well. But if we're going to go on just backspin, on how it felt off the club face and that overall comparison, then round 1 goes to the Seed. So when we get on to the 75-yard distance, again there are some real similarities. You can see here, and this is something which you will see really throughout the test, is that the Elixr is one of the lowest spinning and yet one of the highest launching golf balls. And on the shorter distance shots, maybe that's not exactly what I'd be looking for. But again, the Seed does perform admirably here, but you'd have to say that the most backspin ball went to the ProV1 over this 75-yard distance, but that was just pipping the Vice and just pipping the Seed as well. As far as total control over the distance, I'd probably say that the ProV did feel better over this distance. Ball speed's all very, very similar. Launch angle's quite similar as well. You can see the Seed and the Elixr did launch that a little bit higher. But on this second round, I think just because of the feel and the overall performance, I'd have to give this one to the ProV. So going on to the 100 yards, and I have to say again, they all performed very, very well in comparison. The ProV1 was the highest spinning, and I also probably felt that I had the most control over the 100-yard distance. Other notables though, I have to say the Elixr did have an oddity as far as the spin numbers jumped in this test, the 100 yards, which wasn't always the case. And I'd have to say that the Vice Pro did feel really, really good again. Now again, I'm going to have to give this round to the ProV, but I'd probably say that the Vice was a close contender because of the high spin. But the overall control that I got with the ProV, I would say did pip it. So we get on to the 150 yards here, which we completed with the 9-iron. Again, some similarities. Ball speed was a little bit higher here on the Vice Pro, so it did take off quite hot, and the Elixr take off quite hot as well. And I have to say, the Elixr in this test, for example, it was one of the most accurate, it felt the most solid, and I have to give it to that ball in this test. It was overall one of the most solid feeling balls within the test. I didn't feel that it gave me quite the amount of control of distance in some of the different tests that we did, but I have to say, as far as 150 yard tests go, I have to give it to the Elixr. So on to the 200 yards, and again some very, very good similar performances. I have to say probably my favourite overall out of this test, it was really between the Vice and the ProV. And I think I'm going to have to go to the Vice just simply because of the flight that it had. It was a real low penetrating fizzing ball flight, but also the accuracy wise on the Vice was very, very good as well. Launch angle slightly lower, a little bit more like the ProV, so it wasn't quite jumping up off the face like the Elixr and the Seed did at times. And backspin wise, with the Vice as well, it was second best in comparison to the ProV. But I was just finding that the Vice I had a little bit more control over. Again, it might just been that series of shots that I had, but this round I'm going to give to the Vice. Now we get on to the driver, and I have to say pretty much in every single one of the comparisons that I did, the ProV did come out on top in the driver. Now it's gone the furthest, it carried pretty similar to the other balls, but because of the amount of backspin that I was able to reduce on the ball when I was hitting the ProV, that enabled me to get a total distance of a little bit further. And that was certainly something that I found across this first series of testing. And that is the fact that the ProV, it spanned quite a lot with the lower clubs, the higher lofted clubs, but then when it got to the driver, that spanned less. Now obviously if you're launching it that little bit higher and then getting it to spin less when it lands, that's a winning combination. The highest launch angle that I had was with the Seed at 11.3, but that was also the highest backspin that I got as well. So I have to say this round again will go to the ProV. So now it comes to picking an overall winner. Now the ProV won overall in each category. I think it was 3-1-1-1, I believe. I'll have to count that up properly, but the score is in the corner somewhere. However, there is another element to this that I have not yet done, and that is the price. Now deliberately when I was testing these, I didn't look at the price, because if one of these balls came in a hell of a lot cheaper than the ProV, then that might have swayed my decision. But now I'm at the very end, I get to have a look and I get to pick which one is my overall favourite. So performance wise, the ProV did just get it overall, but now I'm going to decide between those three Guerrilla golf balls which one offers the best value for money. So, interesting. Okay, so there's a couple of different things to bear in mind here. Now the Vice ball you order online and you can order as many as you want. Now the Seed ball you can also order online and order a few, but it is postage and packaging as well, because it's almost like a mail monthly order. And the OnCore ball, that is shipped from the States as well. So the prices here that you can buy them at, there is postage and packaging, which will vary depending on where you're based. But to get it to the UK, for the Vice ball, a dozen of those Pro Plus is £29.88 with £4.99 postage and packaging. The Seed is £27.50 with £10.95 postage and packaging. And the OnCore is $40 plus $8 tax, and that's free postage and packaging. But I'm not entirely sure, that might just be to the US. So that might not obviously be worldwide. So based on those prices overall, probably the Vice does come out on top, just because of the comparison in price. It's a little bit cheaper and it's cheaper to get over. And I have to say, performance wise, when you obviously compare this to the ProV, which depending on where you buy it from can be up to £50 in some shops, generally they're being sold for around £40. That offers great value for money. So yeah, on that I have to give it to the Vice. But really the Seed and the OnCore, they were both fantastic golf balls, and if you did want to try these out, I don't think you'd be disappointed with any of them. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this series of videos. Let me know what you think about these new golf ball manufacturers bursting through. Have you tried them? What are your favourites? I've got a lot more to test, but I'm going to start with this round one and then accumulate some more to do the round two testing as well. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and follow as well on all my other social media platforms, which are linked in the description below. And we'll see you down here next time.